right, I hope I am live. I'm just gonna sit here for a bit and look at myself on YouTube until it comes up so that I know it's actually live. But if anybody see me, if you could let me know in the comments that you see me, will be amazing. Okay, I think it's fine. It looks fine. So I'm just gonna get started. Hi everyone, welcome to the Supabase office hour. This is a safe space to for us to just kind of hang out, talk about all the awesome stuff that's happening in the Supabase world, and maybe I get to answer a question or two from all of you. So feel free to. Oh, I see the all the comments coming in. Nice, thank you so much. Yeah, hi everyone. Okay, yeah, so if you have any questions regarding Supabase, please feel free to chuck it in the comments whenever. I will try to take a look at them as much as possible. Let me also open up Twitter so that I have that as well. But how is everyone doing? Where is everyone tuning in from? I happen to be based in Japan, so I am tuning in from Tokyo, Japan right now. But yeah, while we get that going, while we have all of you sharing where you're from in the world, let me share my screen. And there's some awesome stuff that I wanted to talk about today with regards to, let me get myself up on the screen. There you go. So I don't know if you saw this. Oh, we have, oh, nice. Gerardo Staba is from Sydney. We have someone from Chicago, Japan. Nice. Yeah, hi from Japan. Netherlands. Awesome, awesome. So all over the place. Sounds like APAC and Europe. That is awesome. San Francisco. Great, great. It's like 3 p.m. over there, right? Yeah, I hope it's a decent time to catch this live stream. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this Postgres best practices that we have. Wait, let me. There you go. We have published. So I don't know if you saw this, but it's a relatively new blog post that we published where you probably saw the remotion hype happening on all over social media. I think on Twitter it got like 10 million views, where Remotion launched their agent skills, and you could install it with a simple npm command. And yeah, it's essentially it teaches AI how to use Remotion nicely. So we created that same agent skills for Supabase, specifically for Postgres, because we're a Postgres company. Oh wow, I'm seeing all the comments even coming in more. Hi from France, Israel, Canada, Spain. Awesome, awesome. Really all over the place in the world. It's really awesome to see you all. So what this agent skill is it's essentially a system prompt, but a lot of these coding agents, or not just coding agents, agents in general, are really good at dynamically loading in these system prompts. So a lot of these AI agents has this um, skills feature where it can store a certain system prompt to perform a certain type of task, and it'll just load those tasks skills on demand as necessary. So these Postgres skills are essentially just a collection of skills to we have the list here. Improve query performances, connection management, security related stuff, schema design. Really, it's all the best practices that our AI team put together with combination with the support team, I believe. So a lot of the internal team worked hard on this one to kind of bring the common pitfalls and kind of guide the agents to avoid them and make sure that they use the best practices. So I want to maybe play around with this today. Let's see. all you have to do is this, find this blog post. It's up here, second one. And then scroll all the way down. There is a npm command that you can just install these skills. So I'm just gonna copy this. And so here I have a empty V application. It's really not doing much, but we have some dummy schemas that I brought in from a random project that I found. So let's install the Supabase agent skills. We can run the command. Now it's gonna ask you to, whether we want to install it on a specific agent or all detected agents, I guess installed on this laptop. I'm just gonna go with specific agent, and I'm using Cloud Code. So I'm gonna check Cloud Code, and that's it. We have two options to install it globally or project. I'm just gonna install it on this project. That's just to kind of demonstrate what it can do. And then the rest, I'm just gonna go with the default. So once we installed it, we have this agents folder, .agents folder. And in here, we have all these markdown files. And each of these markdown files are the best practices. So for example, use TS vector for full text search. It's saying like wildcards can be indexed. So, the like operator in Postgres is not super scalable. It's awesome for certain use cases, but it's not meant for full text search. So use full text search with TS vector for implementing full text search. Essentially, it is what it's saying, and it's got some sample SQL commands and how to use them and whatnot. And it's really awesome, right? We have, I don't know how many we have. Is this like 20, 30 skills, different use cases, data n+1. So I guess this is to avoid n+1 queries. Really, taking a look at all these skills itself is a lot of learning experience. And like I said, these skills were built by our internal team who has seen a lot of customers, struggle in certain way or the other. And these are the skills that's preventing them from happening. So really, these are just curation of all the common pitfalls that users actually experience with Supabase or Postgres in general. So yeah, reading through these skills itself is a lot of learning experience, but I'm just gonna read the comments. Best way to set up dev, staging, and prod in Supabase. Okay, there you go. I'm just gonna quickly answer this question. Best way to set up dev, staging, and prod DB in Supabase. So I guess what is the best way to set up dev, staging, and prod environment in Supabase? I'd say the best way is so the dev environment, you can use the local Supabase setup. I actually have it here as well, but what you can do is you can run Supabase init. So Supabase init. And running this, it's going to set up all the files that you need to run Supabase locally. And that's what you're seeing in this Supabase folder. Now, once you have that, there's a proper way of running migrations. You can find the guide. Here's how you can essentially run migrations. So you can search for Supabase declarative database schemas. And once you have all that set up, then you can run your Supabase local environment with Supabase start. Simple. Running this, you'll have a local Supabase instance. Let me just run. Okay, I don't have Docker running right now, but with Docker running, you can run sudo start and it'll spin up a local environment. It'll have all the local host connection strings and whatnot. So you can actually, test around with that local instance. Now, that should be your dev environment. For staging, we have a feature called branching that you can take advantage of. So branching is kind of like Vercel branching. So whenever you create a new GitHub pull request and GitHub branch, it's going to create a new Supabase branch that is taking all the same schema that the main Supabase instance had and maybe modifying all the new schema changes or adding all the new schema changes that happened in that branch. And it creates a isolated Supabase environment where it's safe to test things around. And it's really great because it integrates well with the Vercel environments as well. So when you create a PR, and if you're using Vercel, it'll create a new testing Vercel environment. And it'll also create a testing Supabase environment in there as well. And you can test things around. And once you're happy with all the changes, you can merge it in, and the migration will be automatically applied to the prod database as well. So that's a common way I see customers doing local setup for dev, and then a Supabase branching for staging, and then prod DB is just prod DB, whatever you have. Let's see. Another question is, I guess this is regarding the agents. It should be fine to ignore these, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's really up to the team how you wanna work. Whether you wanna share these skills or not. But yeah, it totally fine to ignore these. I think, unless we want to share them with the team. Yeah, totally. All right, a lot of questions coming in. I love it. So, if I can figure this out. Okay. Hi Tyler, how do you publish a new Postgres schema in Supabase and make it publicly available for read and write access via Supabase JS? I've exposed the schema and it's a bit quick. Where'd it go? And configured role security policies. So we have a guide for this Supabase expose API. No. Let's see. There should be a guide somewhere. Supabase, how to expose. Essentially what it is there's a few things that you wanna tweak. Let me see if I can find it. So if you go to my demo project, you would create a new schema in Supabase, right? And you can do that through the SQL editor. And once you do that, you can go to project settings, data API, expose schemas. So I believe you have to add them in this list of exposed schema. Let's see. Did you say you did that? I've exposed the schema and configured role security policies. Expose schemas and did role security policies. So in that case, connect your database, quick starts. Yeah, I always forget one thing. There's like a few things that you have to do. And exposing the schema is one thing. You're creating the schema, exposing the schema. And I thought there was one more thing that you have to do in order to get the schema or make it available on Postgres. How to choose the right installing, securing data, managing table. Rollable security column, hardcore custom claims. Let's see, Supabase custom schema should hopefully, okay, using custom schemas. There you go. So you create a schema, you expose them by running these command. Okay, yeah, here you go. Yeah, so not only do you need to add them in the expose schema from the dashboard, but you also need to run this SQL command. So I believe this step is the missing step that you might not have done. So yeah, that's the step that you need. Yeah, so if you could Google, Supabase custom schemas, you should be able to find the resources. Right. Next question. I always end up using the CLI with the API key because MCP is wonky and I always create a local Supabase project first and migrate and then migrating. And that's fair. I'm a huge fan of Supabase CLI. Supabase CLI has been developed for so many years, and MCP is relatively new, right? It's a relatively new standard, and it's awesome. But a lot of the core features overlap with the CLI, and we're actually kind of trying to figure out, in what situations should we guide the users to use CLI, and what situations should we guide the users to use MCP. And I think it's an industry-wide discussion. I believe the AWS team was talking about this as well, and they're leaning a bit more towards, just using the CLI just because CLI has been around for decades. All the teams, all the dev tools have them, and it's so powerful, bulletproof, whereas, MCP is up and coming, new, a lot of moving parts and whatnot. So if you're comfortable with the CLI, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm a CLI person actually. So yeah, it's really up to you. It's really up to the choice. Yeah, it's really up to you and the team. Let's see. I defined my own super skills a couple weeks ago, but it's like 4 files only. I'll try your library. Yeah. Definitely do give it a try. And creating your own skills sounds awesome as well. I think this skills space is relatively new, even within the AI space. So yeah, lots of awesome development happening, and I believe there's like a lot of skills directory that you can find more awesome skills and upload your own skills and whatnot. So yeah, definitely do give it a try. All right, why does Supabase not have transaction in its functions instead of performing it at DB level? Transaction available in edge functions, commit and rollback. So transaction edge functions, if you decide to connect to your Supabase database directly through like a Postgres driver, you can certainly run transactions from the edge functions. I believe the question is with regards to using the Supabase library, so whether it's from edge functions or just on the client. And the answer to that is essentially it's just unsafe to open up transactions to the API. And you could also use, so it's unsafe to expose raw transaction, just any kind of transaction that you have no control of to the API. The recommended route that we have is to, I'm just gonna stop sharing. The recommended route that we always talk about is to use Postgres function. So Postgres function is a function that you can define within your database. And within there, you can do transaction, you can do rollback when certain errors happen and whatnot. And what's nice about it is you have full control. You can predefine what kind of transaction you want to run on the database so that malicious transaction just doesn't come in over the API and messes with your database. Let's see. We need we need better column level security. I would like to hear more about this feedback. If you could share in the comments what exactly you don't like about the current column level security and how we can maybe improve them. By the way, this level security, role level security, and column level security, really a lot of the features that we offer around Postgres database is actually not a Supabase feature. It's actually a Postgres feature that we're just exposing it through a nice UI and everything. So yeah, it becomes a more of a bigger topic whether you like the column level security behavior of Postgres or not. But yeah, do let us know what how we can improve them, and maybe there's something we can do about it. All right, awesome. How do we create cron jobs using SQL? I've achieved it locally, but when I try to run migration against any DB in the cloud, I always run into permission errors. Interesting, interesting. So at Supabase, we have this thing called a PG cron, and that's the Postgres extension that enables cron jobs to be run on databases. I wonder what happens if you do it the other way around. So create a cron job on the cloud, and then pull the migration down to your local database. That way, it might work. And you might have to mess with some environment variables. I believe when you directly do that, all the, if you have like, endpoint that you're calling, the endpoint is kind of dumb, um, pulled and raw. So maybe you can, at that point, use some environment variables at the local level to kind of hide all the secrets that you want to hide. Oh, and then I guess there's a follow-up part of it. Is the only way possible to create it from the dashboard? Wouldn't that be difficult to achieve using database branches? Yeah, so it might be, but this is where you have to kind of create. I think you can create it on remote, pull it in, and then using environment variables, kind of swap in all the small bits that you want to change um, per branch. Nice, thanks Tyler. Your videos are awesome. Thank you so much. I want to create more videos, but yeah, stay tuned. I'm working on a lot of fun stuff coming up. Let's see. Why don't we have join filters on the real-time feature for table changes? I believe Postgres changes. So the answer to this is scalability. Basically, um, exposing the real time over a complex query that involves a lot of joins and whatnot is not scalable in a nutshell. So the current solution is, you can subscribe to a certain table, and that's it. Which is actually great though. Oftentimes I hear developers wanting to subscribe to real-time changes across multiple tables, but when you actually hear it, let's look at a chat example. Um, Within a chat window, you have all these chats coming in and going up, and you have the profile information, and maybe you have another table that holds like whether certain messages are read or not. Really, you have to think about what data actually needs to be in real time. Like obviously in a chat situation, you want the chat messages to be real time, but is it essential for the profiles to be in sync in real time as well? The answer is probably not. And you may argue that there's a way more complex situation going on where there needs to be multiple real-time changes happening. I think it's important to kind of go back, step back, and really think about, do all these data actually need to be in real time? Because I talk to a lot of customers, and a lot of times it's that they don't really need to be in real time. Um, so there's that. But if you really truly need real time changes happening across multiple tables, then we have a way to do it, and that is called broadcast from database. Maybe I can share my screen again. So Supabase broadcast from database. What this feature is there's an awesome table, there's an awesome video talking about it. But essentially, you create your own broadcast function within your database. So it uses database trigger, it uses database function, and then it exposes those data, sends those data to your clients via Supabase Realtime. So since it uses triggers and database functions, how you want to configure them is all up to you. You can set triggers on multiple tables and watch the changes happening across those multiple tables. And you can also run join queries within these database functions. So say you have, okay, coming back to the chat example, say you absolutely must watch the Supabase, the profile changes and the chat changes in real time. Then you can set up database triggers on both the profiles table and the messages table. And within each of them, if anything changes, you perform a join query to join the profile and the newly created message and send it off to the client. That's totally possible. So if you absolutely must run real-time queries with joins, you can explore broadcast from database. Let's see. Oh yeah, we have I like this, yeah. MCP for agents, CLI for humans. I think that's, yeah, fair. Yeah, MCP is really awesome when you're working with agents. It just gets a lot of stuff done automatically. And yeah, as a human, I like the CLI. Let's see, where did it go? If my code base is a bit too big, how to hide columns in a table instead of full refactoring later to hide from specific users? Yeah, this is so I guess, you started out with a project and down the line, you decided certain columns want to be hidden from the users and whatnot. Using the Supabase client library, yeah, it's a tough one. One thing that you can look into is the column level security that I kind of mentioned earlier, where it's actually a Postgres built-in feature where you can control which user has access to what columns. So yeah, do check it out. Supabase does offer it within the UI. I think it's a beta feature, but if we can find it, let's see. Yeah, sorry. Can't seem to find it right off the bat. But yeah, column level security is one thing, and then a lot of times, if you want to stay on the Supabase client library, then yeah, column level security, or I guess full refactoring, kind of splitting up the tables, might be the way to go. But yeah, I think it's also nice to kind of separate the data into two tables, one for private data and one for public data. We often see this pattern with profiles table, for example, like public profiles and private profiles. Public profiles contain all the public information about the user, like username or description or whatnot, and the private profiles contain all the sensitive information like addresses, phone number, email addresses, these type of stuff. So maybe keeping those in mind when getting started is also might be important. Yeah. Let's see. Where did it go? How do we create cron? Let's see. Using Supabase for platform. Using Supabase for platform, is it possible to retrieve the JWT secret and API keys via the API so we can store them securely in the key vault? I'm very interested in implementing this. Using Supabase for platform. So if you don't know what Supabase for platform is, I hope this is what this person is referring to. But Supabase for platform is a new Supabase solution that a lot of these AI builders like Lovable, Bolt, and you are using behind the scenes to essentially power their app, AI building app, using Supabase behind the scenes. So instead of user having to go to Supabase, create a Supabase project, and then connect it to Lovable manually, they can just create a Supabase project all within Lovable, and they have a UI to manage what's going on in Supabase within Lovable as well, so they never have to leave Lovable. If that's what this Supabase for platform is referring to, then the answer is it's really up to the platform whether they want to expose certain information to you or not. If this question is asking if using Supabase, period, like Supabase for my development platform, then yes, we expose all that to you. You have full access to your users table, you have full access to your JWT secret, and everything. It's not. I don't know if they were exposed via API, but you can certainly get it, download it from dashboard, or there's ways that you can obtain it. Obtain all of those information so that you can actually take it and migrate away to something else if you want to. How do I implement RBAC in Supabase? So you can actually Google RBAC Supabase, and it'll take you to a certain guide on how to do it. The way we do it is we use a auth. So auth is a feature of Supabase that enables you to run certain Postgres function or its functions when certain auth action happens. And in this case, we want to use the, I believe JWT, what is it called? Custom access token auth. So whenever a new access token is issued for the user, we can modify that access token, and we can embed the role parameter to the access token. So with that, the user now has this role embedded in the access token, and whenever they access the Supabase API, you can extract this role parameter from their JWT. And using that role parameter, you can do things like, if a role is a developer, you only have access to this, or if a role is admin, you have access to this resources and whatnot. It is essentially how it's done. So do take a look at this guide. You can just Google Supabase RBAC and it should come up. And it's really fun and neat. Let's see. The comments keep on scrolling whenever I try to. Okay, all operation, insert, update, delete, as well as using select will fail. I want to say this is a rollable security issue. So do double check your rollable security. Make sure rollable security is probably on, but you haven't added any policies yet, which is the default behavior. So what you want to do is you want to go to authentication, policies, and create a policy. so that you can properly expose your data to the right person. And we have some templates on the right side for common use cases, so do check them out. All right, any plans to expose the Postgres TXID transaction ID in some form for use in sync engines like Electric SQL? Interesting. This is honestly beyond me, so I actually have no idea, but I can take it back to the team and see if they have something about it. My guess is not, but yeah, I don't. Why is beyond me. Let's see. Um, oops. Okay. Recommended when to use edge functions via a versus client library. I am backend guy thinking using edge functions as a backend server so the client can connect to it. Yeah, it's really up to you. I see a lot of use cases, a lot of people doing a lot of different stuff, and it's really up to you and your team and what kind of backend you guys have. If you're more comfortable, creating your own API using the edge functions, you're totally welcome to do that. If you are more comfortable working on the client side and implement all the logic on the client, you're welcome to that as well. What's nice about Supabase is we offer all the choices to you, whether you are more of a client guy or a backend guy, you can still use Supabase. Let's see. I know we've gone past the time, but we have all these awesome questions, so I'm just gonna get through them as much as possible. Can you explain how to separate prod and dev environment? So I kind of touched this earlier on the live stream, but oftentimes the dev environment is the local host environment, and then the staging environment. This person didn't mention it. In between the prod and dev, I often see people using the Supabase branching feature where it's connected to your GitHub, so you can create a GitHub pull request and it'll create a dedicated database branch. It's a safe, isolated environment for you to kind of play around and test around and make sure everything's all good. And once you're good, you can merge that PR, which will apply the migration automatically to prod for you. So local Supabase CLI for deb, Supabase branching for staging, and then prod for prod, like Supabase, regular Supabase project for prod. I like to create triggers or hook in auth schema via migrations. I currently have one that tracks the user changes and syncs them to the public schema, but it has to be done manually for every pro or branch. Manually. When you say manually, like via the... So, okay, I think the way to do this is auth hooks. So we are trying to lock down the auth schema for various reasons, but the biggest reason is because auth schema is kind of tied to the Supabase auth, and when you make certain changes without understanding the consequences, it could kind of affect the Supabase auth and maybe sometimes take down Supabase auth. So we are trying to lock down the auth schema as much as possible. And that's why we have this auth hook feature in a isolated environment where it's a safer environment for you to create hooks on the auth schema whenever something happens within the auth event. So user changes, I'm guessing user changes you can... Yeah, so maybe before user created hook might do it. But yeah, depending on your use cases, you might want to explore taking a look at the auth hook and see if that covers your use cases. See a lot of highs. Yeah, nice, great. Why doesn't Supabase support the use of the backend frameworks like Express and Node.js and Edge functions? Um, I haven't personally played around with Express and Nest.js on Edge functions, but I believe Hono works great with Supabase. So if you want to use a backend framework, Hono might be one solution. The reason why a lot of these, it's not that we don't support it. I think we want to, but sometimes this uh, Edge runtime is a bit tricky. So we are actively, making it better every single day. But sometimes there's pitfalls. But I know Hono works, so maybe that's one thing that you can kind of look into. Should I add a no verified JWT option every time when I deploy edge functions via CLI with new JWTs? With new JWTs. So the no verified JWT option is used to, by default, Supabase edge function checks the user's JSON web token. So whenever a user from the client typically calls the edge functions, they have to have the auth header. So they essentially have to be a signed in user, or they can just have the anon key, I guess. It's essentially a mechanism to prevent malicious people to just spam your endpoint on the edge functions. And when I deploy edge functions via CLI with new JWTs, and like new Supabase keys, I believe you shouldn't have to use no verified JWT for anything. You should be able to Supabase should be able to just handle all these changes automatically. The no verified JWT option is for like things where you actually don't want that check essentially. Either you have some kind of check on your own going on, or you just absolutely don't care for your API to be called from the publicly, or if you want to receive a webhook and there's like only certain headers that you can implement. In that case, you don't want the JWT check, so you can use the no verified JWT option. But other than that, you shouldn't have to use it. But let me know if I'm missing a certain context. The Supabase REST API provide an open API spec for the tables, auth, edge functions, RPC, and storage. The Supabase REST API does provide an open API spec for tables, RPCs, and that's it. Yeah, so essentially all the things that is exposed via the Supabase REST API Postgres, you can find your REST API. The way you find it is you can get your Supabase URL, paste it, / I believe it was rest / v1 /. There you go. Yeah, so by coming to this endpoint, but also adding the API key, so public key, API key equals public key. I believe this should do it. Right, okay, secret API key, that makes sense. Let's get the secret key. Okay, so it's not, it's actually really smart. So essentially, this is how you can access it. Your Supabase URL /rest /v1 / you actually need this slash after the v1. And then you can just say API key equals and then my secret key. By the way, I just exposed my secret key, so this is just a dummy database. Not much is gonna happen, but I'm just gonna delete this API key, like responsible human being. Anyway, yeah, nothing is in the table, so go nuts. But anyway, yeah, this is how you can get your access your Open API specs. Let's see how to track where this is coming from using the user object is returned from Supabase auth change. Event could be insecure of if using SSR. Yeah, so I think the question is, so this user is experiencing some kind of error message within something that has to do with SSR. Um, yeah, without looking at the code, it's really hard to say anything for sure. But a lot of the times, these SSR issues are, um, we have a lot of official examples of how to implement SSR using various frameworks. And precisely following them, a lot of the times gets you out of these SSR um, weird error situations. So try to check out any of the examples, official guides that we have on whatever framework you're using, and make sure that it's actually doing the same thing. And you probably might find something different. If anybody use Supabase with Terraform, what changes you are facing? What features as a user you would like to have? What features as a user you would like to have? Is this question kind of targeted towards the audience? I gonna assume so. So yeah, anybody has any feedbacks for the Supabase Terraform, please let us know, and please let me know if I interpreted this question wrong. Yeah. Nice, we have someone from Florida. Oh yeah, my grandpa lives in Florida, Orlando. Like all the other old people. Shout out to Supabase, you're on next level. Nice, thanks. Is on the backlog. Take care of your throat. Yeah, thank you. I think he's rending to the fact OJG vacation. Okay. Is that? I think I got to the bottom of the questions. Let me quickly check out Twitter. I don't think there are any questions on Twitter. Maybe one? Will the software be recorded and be available asynchronously? Yes, sir. This will be available. Okay, one follow-up question. I'm using Svelte official examples as SSR, but whenever 2FA is used, it throws this error and I can't silent on secure log message. It failed as Svelte. Okay. We will take a look at the official example, see if we can replicate it using 2FA. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, if you could maybe open a GitHub issue if you haven't on the main Supabase repo and maybe tag me, I'll make sure to follow up on this one. Also, is there any ongoing development happening on supporting better type safety in Supabase? I like Supabase, but not having type safety while injected with tables and columns is kind of pain. So we do have TypeScript support. I think you know this. And I'd like to know what parts of the current TypeScript support you don't exactly like. And maybe if you have more specific feedback, we can action it. But yeah, we are always working on improving all the developer experiences, including the TypeScript support as well. We have a dedicated team for that. So yeah, do give us some feedback, and I'm sure we can work on it. How to provide user information for middleware in Next.js when we used login with client Supabase. So I guess you want to fetch some user information and then inject that along with the user profile on the middleware. How to provide user information for middleware in Next.js. I am going to have to go back to this. My, are you? I don't know. Can you just fetch? Well, right, because you can't really fetch. Well, one thing you can do is you can, if it's absolutely essential to be in the middleware, you can maybe supplement those information on the user JWT, if that kind of makes sense. If it's not a whole lot of information, like additional, a few metadata, you can mint your JWT using the custom auth JWT. What is it called? Auth JWT something hook. Customize access token hook. Yeah. So maybe that's something you could do. But yeah, let me know if that kind of makes sense. Okay, so I am at the bottom of the questions. Thank you so much for all the questions. This was amazing. I thought I'm gonna have to sit here and talk about Supabase skills for 30 minutes, but instead it became a really interactive session and I loved it. And keep those questions coming. The live recording will be available on YouTube and Twitter or X. So feel free to post any questions you have there or anywhere on the internet. We have a lot of people all over the place answering a bunch of questions. So if you feel free to, just post it anywhere, and we'll have it answered. We will have this Supabase office hour, I think, once a month. So, if you have a burning question that you want it to be answered live, there will be another Supabase office hour in a month or so. So, tune in and get your questions answered. Thank you so much for everyone for coming in and hanging out. I had a lot of fun, and I will see you next time in a month. Take care. Bye bye.